Well, hey there, and welcome to my channel. My name's Crafty Kathy, and I am so happy and thankful that you stopped in to craft and spend a little time with me today. I've got some super easy and of course budget-friendly spring and Easter DIY decor ideas that I think you're going to like. Now let's jump in. I wanted to add a few little pops of spring into my kitchen like I always do, and I got these glass jars from Dollar Tree, and they are $1.25. They're a really good size to put your sugar or flour in or whatever you want to put in them. And guys, I found these things from Temu. I'm going to leave these linked down below. They were a great price, and these really surprised me. They're called glass transfers, and I got them because they were only like $3 and you get 6 sheets. And the pictures show that you can put them on like glasses that you drink out of, but there's so many different uses that you could use for these. They had little birds on them and like a pocket watch, beautiful flowers, and one of them had like an Indian feather. Now, the first one that I put on, I kind of messed it up, and then when I fixed it, I wasn't recording, but you'll get to see how easy these are to put on. All you do is just peel off that backer sheet, just like you do on a regular old transfer, and then you're going to lay it down on whatever you want to put it on. And I'm going to put mine on these glass jars to start off. I just put something on the side of it so it wouldn't roll. I laid it down and I let it stick starting in the middle and then made my ends go around. That way there wouldn't be any bubbles or anything. Now, the way that I messed it up at first, this thing is so sticky. When I tried to go back and pull it off, I thought, oh, this must just go on like a sticker. And I wasn't that excited about it because I thought, well, whoop-de-doo. It's just going to look like a sticker. I was thinking a transfer, you're not going to see any of the edges on it. And so I was like, I better just leave it alone before I really flub this thing up. But what actually happened was I got a little discouraged because I thought, okay, whoop-de-doo, it's just a sticker, no big deal. And I cut the camera off. But I am going to show you one right here where I did do it right. Okay, this is just a regular glass. I did get this one from Dollar Tree also. I love to drink out of these. I make my sweet tea. I cut it down so that it's going to be the size that's going to wrap around that. And this has like 4 sides on it. So I started on one side and just really carefully went around and just kind of used my hands to smooth it out so there wouldn't be any bubbles. Now, this one was a little bit tricky because it did have the 4 sides on it. It's much easier to do these on a bigger surface like the glass jars that I had. But guys, look, these just peel right back up just like a regular transfer. The reason that I didn't think that top sheet come back off is because it's so sticky that I was worried that I was going to mess it up. Now, I have this sped up a little bit, but look, I just went over it with my fingers and kind of smoothed it down around those edges. And this turns out so pretty. Now, these come with no instructions whatsoever. It's from Temu. So I don't think that I would put these in the dishwasher. Just hand wash these. You can put your flowers in there or your sugar or whatever you want. And these are so beautiful and they're really a good deal.
It's all I'm waiting for. Oh, would you hit me up? I've been waiting my whole life. Oh, for you to hit me up. I've never felt this way. I wanna turn back time. Send me some heartbreak.
For the second one, I'm going to show you how to make a really simple bunny wreath for your front door. Now, you can use 2 of these beaded wreaths that are both the circles, but I just had this one left over from Valentine's that is shaped like a heart. Both of them have the exact same amount of beads on them, and they have wire throughout, so you can shape them and bend them any way you want. Now, what you're going to do is use you some pliers and you are going to open up that little area at the top where they connect. And it's really easy to get that off there. I can just about do it with my hands alone. And when I went to go find my pliers, I could not find them to save my life. So I grabbed the first thing that I could find to get this open. And it gave me a little bit more of a struggle because if I had my pliers, it would be so much easier. But all you got to do is just get it open and then you're ready to go. Remember, it doesn't matter how we get there as long as we get there, right? And you're just going to shape these almost like an M. You see how I'm shaping them, just like little bunny ears. And what I'm going to do is take the ends on each side, and I'm just going to attach them to the wire on the round wreath. Now, I'm not going to open up that round wreath. I'm just going to leave it alone. And if you need to take 1 or 2 beads off to give you a little bit more room, so you have a little bit more wire to use, then that's fine. It's no big deal. But look how easy this is. It just went right around there, and hey, I found my pliers. And you're just going to crunch it down so it's going to stay where you want it to go. Now, I did that on that one side. I went around and I did the exact same thing on the other side. And it doesn't matter how far you go. You don't have to sit and be particular and count how many beads over you need to go. Just whatever you think looks good. But see how easy this is? It looks like a hook. And I'm just going to use my pliers and I'm going to pinch it back together. I slowed this part down pretty good so you could see a little bit closer after I pinch it together. See, it just is around the little wire and it's like I use my pliers to close it. So then I'm just going to fool around with my little bunny ears and shape them the way that I want. And you just shape them to your liking. Now we're going to take the middle part of the ears and we're going to pull it down so that it will stay the way we want it to. I'm just using a smaller gauged wire here, or you can use just like floral wire. Floral wire is a little bit thinner than what I'm using. I don't even remember where I got this wire from. Who knows? And so you just kind of hold your little ears together in the middle, take a small piece of wire, and you're literally just going to wound it around that area there. And it's going to make your ears stay exactly where you want it to. I cut off way more wire than I needed, but that's okay because I would rather cut off too much and just be able to cut off the excess than not to have enough, you know. And so I'm just straightening up my little ears again. And look, we've got a little bunny head. Now, this is a perfect wreath for you guys that are not really like experienced in wreath making. This is super easy, and it's a cute way to dress up your door. And the people that come to your house are going to be like, that is so adorable. Now, I've seen wreaths like these out at Hobby Lobby before, and they go for about 16 to 20 bucks a piece, if not more. And we made ours for $2.50, unless you count these flowers. Now, I did get these flowers off of Amazon. I'll leave these linked down below, and they're peonies. Everybody makes fun of how I say that. But here in Tennessee, I've always heard them called peonies. But I believe that you guys say that you pronounce it peony or something to that effect. So I just cut off all my pieces. Now, I usually take this green like leaves off because it kind of cheapens up the flower sometimes. But in this case, we do want most of the green on there because it's going to give us just a little bit extra fluff. I pushed it all up because we're not going to need much of these wires hanging off of these flowers. So we push them up toward the top of our flowers, and then we're going to put these on our beautiful wreath. When I'm putting flowers together, I just don't overthink it. I put the same thing on both sides in the same spot, and that way it always looks good. I put like 3 flowers on each side, and I'm just going to hold them in the center, and I'm going to kind of judge where I want them to fall. Now I noticed that I needed them a little bit closer together, so I just held on to the wires of the flowers and pushed them in so that I could see exactly where I wanted them. When I got them where I wanted them, I'm going to grab my little zip tie and we are going to tie this baby up to where it's going to be squeezed tighter than your grandma gives you hugs, and it's not going to go anywhere, guys. And the tie wrap is always my first choice on putting your flowers together this way, because you can use floral wire, but I'm telling you, with these tie wraps, they won't go anywhere. They won't even move at all. So you make it just as tight as you want it, and I kind of played around with it, fooled around with it, got it where I wanted it. But now we've got these pesky long wires that's at the bottom or the end part of our flowers. We don't want them sticking out like that. That looks crazy. You probably won't be able to see them, but you might be able to. So since we got our tie wrap in the middle, these aren't going anywhere. I just went through and just cut these off. And then I'm also going to cut the end of my tie wrap off. We definitely don't want that sticking out there. But before you cut it off, make sure you got it as tight as you want it. And then clip that sucker off of there. Now look, we got us a beautiful, simple little floral arrangement for our beautiful little bunny. Next thing we're going to do is when we get our flowers exactly where we want them, I'm going to grab another tie wrap, just a small one. It doesn't have to be thick or anything like that. And we're loosely going to put the flowers up in between the middle of the bunny's ears. That way that tie wrap's going to be covered up and you won't see it. When you get it exactly where you want it, clip it off and then play around with your flowers until you get them basically in the placement that you want. And like I said, I try to always make mine do the same thing on both sides. I make it mirror each other. Like whatever you see on the left side, you're going to see it in the same spot on the right. And what I mean by that, you'll see I've got the peach on the top, I've got the white on the bottom, and then in the middle, I have those beautiful, like, just other flowers, whatever you want to call those, the small peach ones. Now, for the life of me, I did not have a decent ribbon to go with this, so we're going to try something different with the ribbon. I noticed I had way too much green leaves on here. And we're not about to take this thing apart because we got all them tie wraps on there. So what I do is grab the scissors and I just simply cut off the greenery that I do not want. Because we didn't want it to be too much. It's going to cover up the bunny's ears. And you want to be able to see that this is a bunny rabbit. So here's where I was talking about my ribbon did not match. And I was like, oh great. But I did have some that is a lace pattern. It's kind of a thicker ribbon. I usually like wired ribbon. This is not wired, but it's going to be perfect. I like to keep my ribbons super simple and easy to make. That way, those of you that are beginner crafters or, you're just not that skilled with the wreath, and to be honest with you, I'm not either. I just throw these things together, and if it looks good to me, then that's good enough, So here's what I do, is I make like the cause bow, they call it, or some people call it a figure 8 bow. And I'm trying to get it going there, but this ribbon is not wired, and it was giving me a little bit of issue. So I'm going to see exactly how I want it. And literally, to make a bow like this, all you're going to do is pinch it down in the middle and hold it with your fingers. And when I saw that this was going to look good, I cut off that little bit of excess there that I had. And of course, my scissors was giving me an issue on cutting this thing. But when I got it to where I wanted it, the next thing we're going to do is grab another tie wrap, and I know this makes the third tie wrap that we've used on this, but it's easier for me to do it this way and put one around each piece than it is to just put it all together and put one tie wrap. It's just easier for me this way, and it's not too bulky that it's in the way, so it's all good. You just wrap your tie wrap around here and then tie it in the middle. What I do is I don't tie it all the way down. I get it where it's tight enough that I can play around with it. And then that way I can straighten it up, get it the way I want it, absolutely. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull that tie wrap as tight as it will go. And then I'm going to clip off the excess. Now we're going to dovetail these. The way that I like to dovetail is always remember that you go at an upward angle. See, I'm going to always, you always want, it's so hard to explain how to do this. You always want the end pieces to be your longest pieces. And I didn't make mine like steep enough, so I went up and cut it just a little bit steeper because it gives you a more sharp cut in the middle. Now we're just going to take our little bow and we're going to place it right in the center. And guess how we're going to place that bow on there? You guessed it, another tie wrap. This is number 4. And I promise you this is not as bulky as you think it would be. We're just going to tie that bow around there and then just kind of floof it out and make it look good. And then I found this little wooden carrot that I thought would just be great with this. And I didn't want to pull out my paints for this tiny little carrot. So I just used my Posca markers and I painted the bottom orange and the top green. And we're just going to put just a little dab of hot glue on this and put it in the middle of the bow just for a little added something, you know. Now, when I had my store, I would have sold a wreath like this for at least $20 to $25. And guys, even if you count the flowers, we still made this for under $5. I hope you like it.
Come to the water where you will find peace. Take a step into the river. Get down on your knees. Come to the mountain while taking in the view. You will find that life is greater than you knew. When you go through the storm, I will hold.
Now our third DIY is really quick and easy, and this also is for the kitchen. This is one of the new bamboo cutting boards, and it is $1.25, but it's so much bigger than the old style. Look at this. This is one that I had previously painted. We are just going to make like a little recipe holder. I'm old school, and I like to have my recipes on a card. I have these rulers that just don't have the grooves in them. They're like a 1-foot little paint stir stick, you know. And I'm just simply going to mark where I want to cut this off at. And I get these at Amazon. I like that they don't have the little grooves in there because if you're crafting with them, it gives you a little bit of extra room. I'm going to use these cutters that I have that I absolutely love, and I'm just going to cut these where I made my mark at. And to make our little recipe stand up, what I like to do is just grab the back of like a picture frame, right? And I'm going to put a little bit of this wood glue on there, and trust me, it won't go anywhere, and some hot glue. That hot glue is going to hold it still for now while that wood glue dries. It's going to take that wood glue just a little bit more time to dry, but when it does, this sucker won't go anywhere. And look how nicely it just stands up there. So we're going to add our little paint stir stick down at the bottom. And guys, my goodness, I have animals coming in my craft room. The chickens come in here. The dogs will come in here. And then the darn cat climbed up on my table wanting some attention. And I was like, come on, girl. So I added a little bit of the wood glue and the hot glue like I always do on my little paint stir stick. I put this on the bottom, that way I can set my little recipe card up and not have to constantly be bothered by it. And look at these new rice papers that my friend Brandy from the DIY Struggle created. These are so beautiful and everybody's going crazy over these bingo card rice papers. And I'm pretty sure that she still has some left. But if she didn't by any chance, she has a ton of new rice papers that are out. I'm going to leave her information down below so that you guys can go check her out and support her. She is a small business owner and she's amazing. I just really like her work, and I never have a problem with anything that she creates. It's good quality. The only problem I have is figuring out which one I'm going to use. So I finally settled on this larger one that has the little bird on the sunflower, because you know I have a lot of birds in my living room and my kitchen area in my decor. So this would go perfect with it. Now we're going to do this Kathy style and just squirt a little bit of water on our table or any surface, just the quickest place we can get it, right? And a little thin paintbrush. I go all around my edges because I like to tear my edges. It gives them a more rustic kind of look. And to me, whenever you put this on your piece, it always looks more natural. Now, I just let it kind of soak in for a second, and then it's going to make it very easy to go around and tear these edges. I'm going to quickly tear off all these edges and then go to my next step. Now, to apply your rice paper, you can use Mod Podge, liquid patina, whatever you like, but my favorite way is always the easiest way, and I love to use a glue stick. Now, I've never had trouble with my glue stick staying, and it always makes it easy to just peel it right back off whenever I want to change it up. I was first using the one that is purple, and it is a non-permanent, but I also have this white one that is a permanent stick if you want just a little bit stronger of a hold. We're just going to lay it down and commit to where we're going to put it, and then I go up through the middle and kind of work my way from the middle to the outer edges, and that way we're not going to have any bubbles anywhere. I go over the whole piece. I even used a brayer just to make sure we have a really good adhesion with no bubbles. It was sticking over one of the sides, and so I just went through with my little sandpaper, hand zippy sander, whatever that thing's called, and I kind of got it uneven because it was hanging over on one side and not so much on the other. But that doesn't bother me. It's going in my own personal kitchen, so it's all good. I'm using my favorite antique bronzer that I get from Lori at Milton's Daughter, and I'm just going around and kind of shading in everything. I think it just brings a little rustic touch to it, and it gives it kind of like a little vintage flair. And that's all there was to this one. It was quick and easy, just the way that I like it. And I hope you do too. And guys, if y'all stuck with me through all of today's video, I just want to say thank you. I am so happy and thankful that you stopped in to craft and spend a little time with me. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, what in the world are you waiting for? Hit that little red button and subscribe and become a part of our family. We would love to have you. And don't forget to hit the like button. And y'all know that I will be back here real soon, as long as the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. Hey, and did you know that if you're on a phone or a tablet, that you can just click on my face right here and become a part of our family? You sure can, and I would love for you to do that. And if you enjoyed this video, I have another one right here that's very similar. Just click on it, and God bless you and your families.